All right, listen up, everybody. You are live at the Mostly Sports Talk Show. Yeah, you haven't seen me in a while. The Mostly Sports Talk Show has been on a little bit of a hiatus lately, but well, it looks like 24 seconds in, and I didn't know we were recording. So let's go. Welcome. It's July 20th, and it's hot out there. And I was outside in the pool before and got a little hot, so came in here to do a little sports talk show slash everything else because I got a lot on my mind. I got a lot to talk about today, and it's going to be fun. Got some sports and some not so much sports. I'm going to start off the day with sports, I guess, and then I'm going to go into a couple of things that have been on my mind. So we got CEOs going crazy. We got Shane Gillis cracking everybody up at the ESPYs the other night, talking about David Wright, his induction yesterday, how the Mets really brought him down. Couldn't win for David Wright yesterday, Mets. Come on, man. I met a beat writer for the New York Yankees on vacation over the weekend or last week. And it's really nice talking to him. I'm going to send him a message on Twitter. Maybe I could get him on here to pick his brain because as he's a beat writer, he's also got a vote for the Hall of Fame, which I'm very interested in. I'm going to talk about some MLB stars. We're going to talk about the Jets locking up their two young stars. We're going to talk about the All-Star game, the Hall of Fame, like I said before. And then we're going to go into a little bit of the Epstein files, not too much of that. And we're going to go into a little bit of where you get your news, because I got a question for everybody out there. Then we're going to focus on New York City. New York City, a place where I moved away from a really long time ago, but I still go to every day to work. And there's a lot of crazy shit going on there right now that we got to discuss. So, like I said, we got to start off a little bit by talking about the CEO story. Now, the CEO story is a big story to people who don't have really much to talk about. It's all over the place. I'm seeing it on people's feeds. Most of the people's feeds I'm seeing it on, they really don't got interesting stuff to talk about anyway, so they're going to put that silly video out. A, the guy blamed the cameraman slash Chris Martin in Coldplay. Ridiculous. Dude, you're cheating on your wife. Own it. Chris Martin didn't know that you were there, so had his cameraman, pan the camera over to you and say, hey, look at this guy. He's cheating. You're nobody. You're not that big of a deal, and you just destroyed your entire marriage, and it was in front of everybody to see. So you got to blame, brother? You got to blame yourself. And you embarrassed your wife in front of probably maybe 50,000 people at a concert for Coldplay, but now that got to social media, you pretty much embarrassed your wife in front of millions and millions and millions of people who have opinions. And some people have crazy opinions, some people are right. But you know what, though? At the end of the day, you got to come home and you got to tell your wife what you did, how long you've been doing it, and why you did it. Listen, man, who knows? Maybe they have an arrangement. But at the end of the day, the whole world looks at you as a guy who just embarrassed your wife, dude. Shane Gillis the other night at the ESPYs. Shane Gillis killed it the other day at the ESPYs. Now, the only person that really looked a little, put his head down when something was said was Shador Sanders. But listen, man, 13 and 12, mediocre quarterback, nepotism. I don't know. I think Shane Gillis might have been right. Although I do love the Sanders, I do love Dion. Dion is one of the greatest football players that ever lived. His son, listen, we'll see. Maybe there's a reason why he dropped all the way down in the rankings. But I still think, and I'm still standing on the fact that I think that he is going to be a really, really good quarterback in the NFL when that time comes. We had a game the other night. Mediocre slash really good baseball players, and maybe some really good baseball players deserved to play the other night, but they weren't there. I'm 53, guys. Now, I remember All-Star games from the 80s. The All-Star games from the 80s were so much fun. The All-Star games from the 80s was so much anticipation involved because you got to see a player that you didn't normally get to see play. We didn't have cable back then. We weren't streaming from 9,000 different devices. We weren't paying for Apple, Amazon, Peacock, and all these other things just so we could watch our beloved teams. We would once in a while, if we were a fan of another team, get a glimpse at this guy or a glimpse at this team if they came to Shea Stadium or if they came to Yankee Stadium. Because predominantly growing up, mostly had Mets and Yankee fans. And you had the occasional fan who was of another, maybe they lived somewhere, maybe they were raised somewhere else, maybe their father is my age. And in football, they like the Broncos, the Cowboys, the Steelers, because there was a lot of those fans because the Jets sucked. The Giants were good, but some people were just looking for a little bit of difference from the Jets and the Giants. So hence we get to today. It's a big show at the end of the day when we think about it. Am I right or wrong? I mean, how many of these guys are going to go all out and play against the National League or vice versa, American League, National League, when they're making millions and millions of dollars? Most of these guys are friends. There's no Pete Rose running over Ray Fosse in an All-Star game. That person, Pete Rose, might be killed by everybody in this society today if he happened to run somebody over in an All-Star game. But this is what it's become. It's become pomp and circumstance. So I guess, the Pro Bowl in football, that could be gone too. The NBA All-Star game, that could be gone too. However, you got the home run derby. Now, the home run derby was pretty cool. I mean, to be honest with you, I stopped watching really after the first round because I wanted to see O'Neal Cruz, and I got out of the home run derby exactly what I wanted to get out of it. I watched O'Neal Cruz smash a 513-foot home run. Many, many home runs after that by other guys, but that was kind of like the highlight for me. Is it going to mess up people's swings in the future? I don't know, some people say it messed up David Wright's swing. Some people say there's other people that they messed up his swing. But if you get involved in this competition, it's definitely for the fans, and it's definitely mostly for the kids. I know you guys don't care about the All Star game, and you really don't care who wins, no matter what kind of prize you put on the All Star game. At the end of the day, it's really just kind of you know sign some autographs. Everybody gets together to party and hang out and have a good time. So the All Star game is, I think Brandon Nimmo kind of said it best, but I guess not to that degree. I've not yet seen the Savannah Bananas, but I do I think it looks like kind of an enjoyable place to be to watch a baseball game because those guys are pretty good athletes, and I bet they're damn good baseball players too. Brandon Nimmo said that the All Star game is turning into the Savannah Bananas. How about this? How about we get the All Stars to play against the Savannah Bananas? I can't even say it. For an All Star game, you never know the Savannah Bananas. Savannah Banana. I gotta say it a couple of times. The Savannah Bananas might be able to beat some of these All Stars because are they going to play, like I said, 100%? Probably not. As far as the players that are getting into this All Star game, now people had a little bit of a discrepancy with this pitcher in Milwaukee getting in. He's pitched 5 games. He's 4-1. Kid looks like a stud. Don't get me wrong. Kid's gonna probably, maybe come in second or third in ERA, maybe wins, maybe strikeouts. But from what I heard, yeah, you know what? It's wrong. The guy's young. There's other pitchers that, without a doubt, probably deserve to be in that position. But when you really want to think about it, and I really didn't think this really went on much anymore. I guess some of these pitchers are smart. A lot of these pitchers just said they didn't want to do it. A lot of these pitchers said they didn't want to show up because they had better things to do, like focus on their own teams. So you got to respect that. So from what I understand, and somebody could correct me if they're wrong. Apparently, they went through probably about 7 or 8 pitches, and they finally says, "You know what? Let's just put this kid on." So listen, it was one game, one day, and I don't even know if the kid pitched at all, but Ron Darling brought up a really good point about this whole thing. When we start talking about it's wrong, it's that this kid's a jerk and he shouldn't be there. You know what? The kid didn't call up Major League Baseball and demand to be on the All Star team. Major League Baseball put the kid on the All Star team to get views. And that's really all it is at the end of the day. The kid was just really an innocent bystander and something that is just going to create views for the major leagues. Sorry, guys, need a little drink. But the All Star game, I watched 5 minutes of it. Home Run Derby, watched the first round, and now we're back to real baseball. Real baseball. Real baseball. I think that's what we're trying to call it. But let's be honest. You know what? Let's be honest. Met fans, last year, we had a really good run. And maybe like you, like me, maybe you guys were a little pissed when they lost. They didn't make it to the World Series, which ultimately went to the Dodgers. But we really didn't think we were going to go that far. This year was expectations. This year we had Juan Soto. We gave him $700 million. Pete Alonso, he's back. Lindor coming off a season which, because of Shohei Ohtani, he might be an MVP. And let's be honest, if Shohei Ohtani played this year like he did last year, Lindor might be the MVP. Vientos picked us up big time in the playoffs. Had a great playoff run. Very excited to come back into Citi Field on day one for our everyday third baseman. Took him a while. Him and Beatty back and forth, switching in, switching out. Is Beatty going to make the team? Is Vientos going to make the team? Well, Vientos is starting to pick it up. Vientos is, I guess maybe he looks a little lost sometimes at third base, but he's a serviceable third baseman. His bat's definitely starting to come around. Hit a big triple last week. Had a couple of hits the other night. Beatty has been clinging for dear life to try and stay onto this roster, and him too. He's been doing a very, very good job. He's been playing the field very well. He's been attacking the baseball at third. He's been flipping double plays with Lindor, and he's been hitting. And his stats really don't show that of somebody that does something productive for their baseball team. But if you want to go back and watch the Mets, I watch all the games. He's doing things in productive situations. Sometimes you measure baseball players when them getting hits. Like A-Rod was great for that. A-Rod would sometimes, when he come into the game or we'd be in the game, the Yankees or the Rangers, whoever would be up like 9-1. And he'd come in and hit a grand slam to make it 14, whatever to one. But that's what it seems like. Beatty comes in and gets hits in good situations. Men on base, he'll pop a home run here and there. So going forward, I mean, I think you're looking at the playoff roster now. Maybe, we'll talk about that. You got the trade deadline coming up. I guess we could get into that in a couple of minutes. But the way I see the trade deadline is we either got to get a pitcher or we got to get some kind of center fielder every day. I like Tyrone Taylor. He's a nice player. He could come in and, you know, he's a really good fielder. It's kind of like Angel Pagan, not Angel Pagan. Oh my God, I forgot his name back in the day. But guy was a great fielder, couldn't hit the ball. Tyrone Taylor's got a couple big hits this year. If you look, he's got 3 triples. Triples are a very hard statistic to get. We went over that the other day. Chief Wilson, back in the year, I don't know, before the 10 Commandments we were written, he leads the major leagues in triples. And the first person to come up on the list I saw was like Pete Rose, has like, I don't know, like 75 or something like that. Triples very hard to get, and Tyrone Taylor has 3. But unfortunately, he's got under 250 batting average. And to get us somebody at center field that could be serviceable and play every single day, make good plays, and bat over 260, that might be something that we might need to get at the trade deadline. But the Mets have to rely on these young guys right now. Alvarez, very high in Alvarez. Alvarez can hit the ball 5 miles. He's got a swing that when he connects, the ball goes on forever. But that's the thing about Alvarez. Alvarez is a pretty good catcher. He throws people out, but he's got one swing. He's got one swing. It's that uppercut, high launch angle swing. And if you're dumb enough to throw him a chest level fastball, he's going to send it to the moon. Pitch him low, and he's lost. That's why he got sent down. Now, I hope for his sake, he's got balls, he's got spunk, he's got charisma, he could be a future leader of this team. But I do think that he's very immature at the same time. I mean, he had to be pulled aside and talking to by Starling Marte last year in the playoffs. Had a conversation with him. After that conversation, went 6 for 8. Comes back this year full of pissing vinegar. Luis Torrens is here. He's playing great. I'd rather have Luis Torrens behind plate every single game right now and give Alvarez maybe another year down there. Or maybe trade him. I don't know. But Torrens is a better catcher. Torrens gets better hits and bigger hits. So right now, if the Mets going forward, the catcher situation being Torrens, I'm okay with that. Alvarez, you're still young, but you're almost there. Got to have somebody to fix that swing of yours, kid, because though you do have an amazing home run swing, everything else has to work too. Even those doubles you hit, it's still that uppercut launch angle swing that you get under, that you get over. It's got to stop, man. So for you to be a productive member for this New York Mets baseball team, you got to do something about that swing. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about David Wright, but I'm still trying to go over something that's going on with the Mets right now that really needs to be addressed. Pitching. First couple months of the season, Mets had the lowest ERA, team ERA in baseball. Most strikeouts. Clay Holmes was looking like Nolan Ryan. Griffin Canning was looking like Dwight Gooden. Manea doesn't play this year. He's hurt. That's a problem. Kodai Senga, hurt, comes back. Kodai Senga's our best pitcher. He's got a lowest ERA. He's got the most wins. He is our number 1 pitcher right now. So we're going into the playoffs, which we're going to do, when Manea, Senga, Clay Holmes, Peterson has been pitching well. Sounds like a decent rotation to a Met fan because we know these players, but if you look at the pitching around the scope of baseball right now, some pretty damn good pitchers out there. I mean, luckily, you're probably not going to have to face somebody like Paul Skeens in the playoffs. He's pitching to a 1.3 ERA. I mean, I'm sorry, 2.3 ERA. This kid's pitching lights out. He's like 25, 24 years old, but he's not going to make the playoffs because Pittsburgh sucks. Pittsburgh's got O'Neal Cruz there, another great player. They're not going to do anything because they're the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pitching as a whole is probably getting a little better last couple of years. These young players, maybe they're starting to go a little longer, starting to strike out some more guys, or maybe is the hitting deteriorating? I don't know. The home run ball is going down. Usually people like to see it go up. But the Mets, pitching wise, have I would say they have 4 pitchers on their staff that could be amazing number twos. They need a lights out number 1 pitcher at the helm. Sean Manea is great. Sean Manea has that weird release. Sean Manea's got a lot of stuff that can make him become a really, really good pitcher. Even somebody that me as a Met fan would trust fully healthy to go in there for a game 1 in the World Series. Then you got to dunk down to Kodai Senga. Do I trust Kodai Senga? I do. Do I trust Kodai Senga if he gets hurt? Who knows? He got hurt last year in a big spot. He came back and thought he was ready. He got shelled. David Peterson. David Peterson's had some really good starts this year. He's been lights out through a complete game. But he lately has been hit or miss. Pitched great 2 games ago. Got lit up the game after that. Pitching lab. Pitching lab maybe has to get these guys more endurance. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is the same Mets pitching staff that was kicking ass in the beginning is kind of not holding up their end of the bargain. Maybe they're getting tired. I mean, you could say it's the pitching staff. You could also say it's the hitting too. Pete Alonso was batting like 700 in the first couple of months. Not to say he's not playing well, but he's cooled off a little bit. It seems to be that the pitching, when it was top notch, they were hitting, but everybody was warming up. If the pitching just continued to be top notch like it was in the beginning of the season, and Soto finally got comfortable in that lineup, finally got comfortable in the locker room. You know what? And I don't care if he's comfortable or not. The guy's making a lot of money. But I'm just talking about the optics from a fan from the outside looking in. People say that he's not a people person. I told you, I talked to a beat writer for the New York Yankees. I'm not going to mention his name. He mentioned to me that he thought Soto was a loner. Mentioned to me that he thought that Soto maybe didn't have many friends. He told me that if the Cleveland Guardians gave Juan Soto a penny more than the New York Mets, Juan Soto would have went to the Cleveland Guardians. You also hear the stories about him when he was on, in the minors when he was 18 years old, sleeping in that shitty bed. Told the coach it didn't matter because he wasn't going to be there long. Next week, he was in the major leagues. Now you're 20. You're a major league baseball player and you're playing top-notch baseball. At this point in your career, you're 25. Yeah, that's Juan Soto's 25. Lots of accomplishments. He is very comfortable in a New York Mets uniform right now. The other players on that roster have to pick it up. Lindor, you know I love you. You struck out with the bases loaded the other night. And again, you win some, you lose some. This team has to win more than they lose. We got to start winning series again. We won the first 7 series in the beginning of the season. Then we get swept here. We get swept there. We were 1 out of 4. We're getting back. Now, all of a sudden, we're in second place, and we're kind of climbing back against the Phillies who've been playing good baseball. Can Kyle Schwarber get out? Can somebody strike this guy out? Can somebody not let this guy hit home runs? Can somebody pitch him differently? I mean, the Philadelphia Phillies, don't count them out because them and the Mets are back and forth. One of them is going to win the division. I know everybody's talking about the Atlanta Braves and their second half participation being a lot better. Miami Marlins, come on, let's get real about the Miami Marlins. I mean, look, they're a good young team, good little baseball team, but they're not making the playoffs. At the end of the day, the Phillies and the Mets are going to be fighting for that number 1 position in the NL East, possibly the number 1 seed in the playoffs. Dodgers are playing good. Shohei Ohtani is hitting home runs. He's pitching. His batting average isn't up where Aaron Judge is. So that's another conversation to have for people between Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. Are they 2 the best players in baseball? Yeah. Aaron Judge is the best player in the world. Guy's got, 30? He's got 31 home runs, and the guy's batting 355. Guy's been in a slump, and he's batting 355. That's on a different level. So When I said before, Francisco Lindor maybe getting the chance to get an MVP this year if he played last year like this year, Shohei Ohtani's sort of a little human this year. Maybe people are figuring him out. Again, I'm not saying that there's anything, wrong with him. He's not still the second best player in baseball, but Aaron Judge, by a long shot, is the best player in baseball. And Shohei Ohtani, maybe he's come back to earth a little bit. The New York Mets right now have to kick it into gear, and their pitchers have to look themselves in the face and say, we need 6, 7 innings out of our starters. Our relievers, the other night was embarrassing. Sean Manea comes back, pitches a great game. 4.2 innings. I think he had 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, 1 run. He lost 8-4. You know why? Because Schmo 1 and Schmo 2 comes in and just walk everybody, home runs all over the ballpark. Sean Manea gets the loss. Mets lose 8-4. That's a loss that should not have happened. The Mets relief has started off on the right foot, but like their starters, definitely needs a little more oomph in what they're doing. Listen, Diaz is pitching great. If not the best, maybe the second or third best closer in baseball is Edwin Diaz. And he's looking around at these other middle relief guys and saying, guys, I cannot pitch every single day. Can't be giving up runs. Can't be giving up hits. Can't be giving up walks. Edwin Diaz is ready. Middle relievers, Brazaban, Bolta, whatever these guys, Reed. You got to suck it up. You got to be ready. You know why? Because that middle rotation is the part of the rotation that needs to pitch well. You need to help out some of your starters who might be going through some kind of tiredness in their arm, and maybe they can only pitch a couple innings. You guys need to suck it up. You guys need to become Goose Gossage in this motherfucker. The only time I'm going to curse. Goose Gossage is a real curmudgeon about today's middle relief and reliever saying, when I'd come in the 4th inning and I'd close the game. It's not the same game, Goose, but you middle relievers got to do your goddamn part. Pete Alonso, let's go. Let's start hitting some home runs. Let's start knocking out those doubles. Lindor, you are the captain in my eyes. You are the example to show these young guys. You are the example to show these old guys. Grace under pressure, hitting home runs like you're supposed to be there. Let's rally this team. Let's get them together, and let's make a charge and forge forward to the playoffs. Because as last year was a wild ride, this year coming up, this second half is going to be even wilder. Like I said before, we got people hitting home runs. We got people pitching. We got teams playing really well right now. I want the Mets to be standing on the top of that mountain when this is all said and done. And there's no reason why they should not. Yesterday was David Wright Day, okay? And they went out and they shit the bed. David Wright is a player. Let's be honest, guys. David Wright is our Derek Jeter. David Wright played 14 seasons in Major League Baseball. 6 of them were more than 150 games or more. 8 of them were more than 102. Lost a lot of time. Hamstring injury. Hamstring injury turns into a couple of weeks off. Back playing. 06, Carlos Beltran strikes out. My only shot. His only shot. No, yeah, as a matter of fact, his second shot. That was his first shot. Injuries. A couple of Silver Slugger awards. Batted .302, batted .325, .304, .311. Played 38 games and 37 games in his last 2 seasons because the spinal stenosis just got to him. Hamstring injury, shoulder pinch, back injuries were just way too much for David Wright. Now, you watch him speak yesterday, and you watch him speak so eloquently about the New York Mets as an organization and how they treated him. I guess you could say David Wright made a good amount of money. He also lived through the Wilpon era, which that in itself is a badge of honor. I don't feel bad for him per se, because you can't feel bad for somebody, who makes all that money. But when you listen to him talk so eloquently about the game of baseball and how he misses it and how he loves coaching his children right now. He has 3 kids. He coached one in soccer, one in softball. Finally, the little one, 10 years old, finally coaches his baseball team. Can you imagine being a little league coach or a coach of a travel baseball team and David Wright's on the other side as the coach you got to go exchange lineups with? I think that would be pretty cool. But he speaks so eloquently about a game he loved, about a game he just at one point in his life, he just could not do anymore. And that to me is a tragedy in itself because I watched him play. I watched mostly every game that man played. And watching David Wright on the baseball field go from somebody who couldn't even pick up a ground ball at third base when he first got in to 2 gold gloves, over the hand palm catches, and just the will to win. 30-30 club. Leads all Mets in a lot of categories. Although Big Pete's going to bake a bunch of those this year. But we honored him yesterday. We honored a soldier. We honored a Mets soldier who woke up every day, put on that Mets uniform, and represented my New York Mets with pride, dignity, and respect. And I mean to the fans. They showed up yesterday and they cheered him. They cheered on our captain. We cheered on the man that brought relevancy back to a Mets organization that was kind of in and out of relevancy. But David Wright came to this team and said, "Look at me. I'm the captain. And look at the New York Mets." 2015, unfortunately, batted 220 in the playoffs. Mets lose the World Series. The Kansas City Royals. David Wright goes on his way. Just can't do it anymore. And we all know where the Mets go from there. Fast forward today. It's another game against Cincinnati Reds. Another chance to at least take one game of this 3-game series from a Cincinnati Reds team. That's pretty good, but not sweeping the Mets good. Not sweeping my New York Mets good. Pete Alonso's not playing today. I don't know why. I don't know if he's hurt. Maybe his feelings are hurt. I don't think so. Pete's feelings aren't hurt. Somebody's going to step in there at first base today. Somebody in about 10 minutes because that's when the game starts. New York Mets, let's go. Get off your asses and let's play some baseball. Jets locked up their 2 big-time stars, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson. Justin Fields is the quarterback now. An offensive line that says, wait a second, we weren't that bad last year. We got 10 different running backs. Breece Hall, I don't know, were you a little mad last year that there's somebody else trying to take your job? I really think that the kid was trying to take your job, should be the starting running back. Do we trade Breece Hall? Do we give him money, contract? Do we have a 2-headed monster there in New York? Who knows? Coach, Aaron Glenn, I like it. Didn't in the beginning, but you know what, though? Aaron Glenn's tough. He's quiet. He does everything on the field. Doesn't talk too much shit, but shows it on the field. Guy ran a defense in Detroit that played very well, almost won the Super Bowl twice. I say almost because I mean that Aaron Glenn probably wasn't the head coach. That's why. So Aaron Glenn, ex-Jet, head coach, let's go. Let's get this team going. We just gave out a lot of money to 2 players. One last year I thought got a little lazy in Sauce Gardner. But people point out to me, that if you're really watching, they didn't really throw to him too much. I also watched him get run over. I also watched him run away from the number 1 receiver on those teams when he was covering them. This is a man who needs to be on the number 1 player, the number 1 receiver. Whoever catches the most footballs on the other side of the ball, Sauce Gardner needs to be covering. I don't want to hear it no more. You're not a kid anymore. You're a man. You're in this football game played with men, like I keep saying. And they just gave you a shit ton of money. You need to cover your receiver like the nickname that you say you are, Sauce. You got to cover them like you're Sauce. This is what they want from you. The defense last year was embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. The Jets on a whole were embarrassing. I'm still in my head trying to figure out how I'm actually going to root for this football team. And the only in my head thing that can root for this football team is pride in the team that I root for, and I don't turn my back on my teams. I've been a Jet fan for a long time. I've seen almost Super Bowls, not really, but maybe 1 or 2 years, a championship. Mark Sanchez as the quarterback. I've been watching this football team since 1978. That's right, Shea Stadium, 1978. I've been watching this football team, and they've never, ever in those years watching them cognitively listening to what's going on that field. They've never given me anything to cheer about. They've given us false hope for all these years. False hope in saying we're going to do the right thing for the fans. We're going to play hard. We had Aaron Rodgers as our quarterback. Aaron Rodgers. Now, I don't know about you guys, but he's in Pittsburgh right now. The only thing we got going for us is he's never lost to Aaron Glenn as a coach. Okay. But he's also got a big vendetta here. He's also got a defense that he wants to carve up. Pittsburgh is still a good football team. Pittsburgh's got a good defense. Pittsburgh's got a good offense. They're going to come into MetLife, and there may be more Pittsburgh Steelers fans and Jet fans there. But you better not let Aaron Rodgers come into our building and carve us up like a Thanksgiving turkey, because that's not gonna fly. They have to approach it. As a matter of fact, hit him hard. Got nothing against Aaron Rodgers. A lot of people don't like him. I actually like the guy. A lot of people dislike him. And at the end of the day, what? Because he hangs out with RFK Jr. He says some stuff that's a little off the cuff. But you know what? He's real. He says what's on his mind. Kind of like what most people should be. Don't get offended. Just say, all right, that's how you feel. People are offended about it and lying about the vaccines and stuff or whatever. Maybe he's starting to stir shit up. Pat McAfee loved it. He bursted his ratings. Pat McAfee's pretty damn popular right now, but I think with Aaron Rodgers going on that show in the beginning, I think it kind of boosted his ratings a little bit. You never know what Aaron Rodgers is going to say. Now it's pretty much you never know what Pat McAfee is going to say. But I do like him. I like Pat McAfee, but he's kind of turning into a little bit of a wrestling guy now, which I haven't watched wrestling in a long time. And my son watches it. It looks like it's still kind of entertaining. Stars just aren't the stars anymore. I watched Pat McAfee announced the home run derby participants. Sounded like he was introducing a wrestling match. All right, so the Mets and Yankees heading forward. I want to see them both go to the World Series. Yankees need some help. Yankees last 2 games up. They won last night, lost the other night 7-3. They do have Max Fried. If they had Max Fried and Garrett Cole, I'd have a little more confidence in them going forward. But there's a lot of competition in the American League. The Mets, you heard what I got to say about the Mets. I heard what. Let me just rewind my thought here for a second. You heard what I want them to do. I don't have anything specific. I just have something that I want them to do. I want them to get their pitching. I want them to. Let's see. I just got confused. Ethan, what's up, kid? What's up, Ethan? Last time I saw you, you were graduating. What's up, kid? How you doing? Just ending on my. I'm ending up my sports rant here. I'm about to go into politics. That should be fun. Where the Mets are right now, though, is they need to get some kind of number one stud pitcher. They need to get somebody to plug that hole, and they need to get somebody to give Edwin Diaz a little bit of a break. Okay. Now, I don't want to hear about nobody getting days off. Pete, you never take days off, maybe a little bit tired, but going forward, no more days off. People are going to go to their position every day, and they're going to play their position every day. Carlos Mendoza, you got all the faith in me in the world as a fan. Tell that team that they can win a World Series like you did last year. But this year is different. Everybody's laughing about Juan Soto. Oh, Juan Soto sucks. Yankee Stadium. Oh, fuck Juan Soto. Yeah? No one's going to be fucking laughing when Juan Soto's batting 400 in the month of August and he bats 320 at the end of the year. So listen, you better get on that Juan Soto train. I'm not saying he's the captain, and I'm not even saying he's a leader, but he gets in there and he plays baseball. Can't catch a cold. Ball's bopping off his head. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it looks like the Bad News Bears. Guy will go in next and go 3 for 4. I've never in my life seen a baseball player that could work counts like him since Manny Ramirez. This guy is a genius in the batter's box. And it shows with long counts, lots of pitches, fouling the ball off 20 times, then banging a home run over to center field. Now, this is what baseball's about. This is what baseball's about. It's about getting into people's heads. And this is what Juan Soto is doing right now. Soto shuffle. I don't even know what the fucking Soto shuffle was. That's how much I don't care about the Soto shuffle. Exactly. You never count Soto out. Ethan, everybody's going to be mad when he's batting 400, dude, in the month of August, and he carries that team to a World Series. Me, he's all right. I could take or leave him. I like Lindor better. I like Soto. I like our core guys better. But this guy's going to be here for 15 years, and he's going to do a lot for this organization. You may not like the way he does it. You may hear the stories about, oh, he wanted his mother is the reason why he came with the Mets because his mother and Steve Cohen. And shut up. This is a man making a decision. And the man made decision about money. Okay. He didn't make the decision about his mom being comfortable and his third cousin Pedro is coming from so and so. He needs a place to live. And no, Juan Soto wanted the most money. So as far as everybody out there saying he's complaining and this, that, and the other thing, all I see is a man going to work every day. All I see is a man going to work every day and getting fingers pointed at him by people who have no idea who he is when he leaves Citi Field. He has no idea. People have no idea what it's like. And I know I'm just saying poor this, poor that. I don't feel bad for him. But there's got to be something to be said about when you're walking through the street and there's just people yelling your name constantly, telling you suck, telling you that your mother, and there's got to be something to that. Me, I'm one of these people that I really don't give a shit what people say. And I'm finding out more and more that not too many people are like that. People do actually care what's said to them or about them. Okay? That's just kind of not in my grammar or my narrative. But some people, some people take that shit to heart. Maybe he's that way. But under no circumstances is he going to give up on this baseball team because you know why? He's a goddamn baseball player and he's the number 3 hitter for the New York Mets. And with him at the number 3 slot, you could do whatever you want around him. At least 3 or 4 of these guys have to go on tears like he is. And that, my friends, is what's going to put the Mets into the World Series. So we had a little sports, talked about my Mets, talked about a little bit about the Yankees. I told you I met a beat writer from the New York Yankees who I'm hoping to contact through Twitter maybe and see if I can get him on. Don't really want to say his name yet. He's told me some great stories. And he actually turned my mind a little bit about Aaron Judge. He told me really great stories about Aaron Judge. Mullins or... That's a good question, Ethan. I got to be honest with you. I love Cedric Mullins. I've loved him ever since he came into the league. And I think he'd probably be, pretty easy to get because Baltimore was pretty much out of it. I got to be honest with you. I probably like Cedric Mullins because we do need somebody out there in center field that could do a little bit more than Tyrone Taylor. Tyrone Taylor is, yes, a very good defensive center fielder. But his bat, look, he'll get a triple here. He'll steal a base here. But you need somebody that's going to come in there every day and be a productive hitter. Is Mullins a productive everyday hitter? He's good, and he's better than Tyrone Taylor. And yes, I'd love to have Cedric Mullins in center field. Absolutely love it. And I hate to say it, Ethan, but I think we need a little bit behind the plate there too. Because Torrens is going to have to play a lot of games good because, we had that young kid and we got Alvarez. I don't think either one of those guys are the answer. And I think Torrens is going to have to play a lot of innings coming up in order for this Mets team to win. Aaron Judge, nice guy, best player on the planet, hands down. Dropped the ball out in the outfield. Listen, everybody's out loud to have a brain fart. Guy I spoke to said a lot of great things about him. Now listen, Aaron Judge, you need to go out and do something for your baseball team. Now, there's a lot of people out there in Memorial Park who are players that not only are Yankee greats, they're Major League Baseball greats. Now, you have a lot of ground to catch up before you become one of the Yankee greats and one of the greats in baseball history. That's a long list there. DiMaggio, Mantle, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig. That's a laundry list of players, and that's big shoes to fill. So no more dropping balls in the outfield. And unless you're playing against the New York Mets in the World Series, you got to win at least 1 or 2 World Series in your tenure here, buddy. Or it's all for naught. You're just going to be Dan Marino. You're going to be Charles Barkley. You name your amazing, gifted athlete that could do anything except win a championship. And everybody knows I grade championships, especially if you're the best player on the team. You could be the eighth player on a basketball team and have look at Sam Cassell. How many championships did Sam Cassell win? He was good. He was a role player for a lot of those teams, but he wasn't the guy. The guy has to win championships. And Aaron Judge, I know it's a lot of pressure for you. Let's see if you can handle it. All right, guys, that's my sports rant for the day. I do have a couple things I want to get to politically. I do want to get to a couple things. It is Sunday afternoon. I am 40 minutes in. I'm going to try not to take too much of your time with this, but there is a lot of crazy shit going on. Okay? Crazy stuff going on. Donald Trump, I'm convinced that if Donald Trump told somebody that on a big, beautiful day, like his big, beautiful bill, with the sun shining, everything beautiful, the birds chirping, he'll walk down the street and say, "Look at this beautiful blue sky." People say, "That's not a blue sky. What are you talking about?" They'll argue the point that Donald Trump obviously said there's a blue sky. And you know why they're going to argue that fact? Because they don't like the way he's saying it. Okay. But I don't know if you realized, America, that everybody has to be nice talk. That all that DEI stuff, all that stuff that we're not supposed to say what we feel out loud. That's all going away. Little by little, we're getting our little freedoms back to say what we want. Little by little, we're allowed to have opinions on lifestyles that we choose not to feel is right. We're allowed to talk about transgender athletes. We're allowed to say that Biden changed Title IX to make it, instead of protecting women, to be one of the largest anti-woman bills I've ever seen in my life. That's gone. Maine, the state of Maine. My TikTok feed. Maine was all in with this transgender Title IX stuff. Trans men beating women. You got boxers in the Olympics. You got softball players pitching 4 games in a row, shutouts, letting up no runs. You got track stars crying on the field after they lost to a man they've been working their whole lives to do what they did for a man to come and take that from them. That stuff is slowly but surely becoming not right anymore. And everybody in this country and everybody in this world has to realize that by me and other people saying that it's just not fair to women has nothing to do with being racist, has nothing to do with being biased, and it has nothing to do with how dare you say that. It's the truth. It's the absolute God's honest truth. You were born a man, and the physicalities that come with it are not conducive to sports against women. If that was the case, there would be no men's sports and there would be no women's sports. These poor women, every day while that man was in office, were getting titles and awards stripped away from them. Swimmers, Leah Thomas. Yeah, everybody thought you were so great 2 or 3 years ago, and all that other side was lauding you of how great you were and how your struggle was. Struggle? You were a terrible swimmer as a man. So you went to the woman's side and you beat some women. Great for you. No more. As a matter of fact, I heard you want it to be reversed. That's something we got to talk about too. I'm going to get into a little bit of this transgender stuff in a couple minutes because I'm going to go into. I was blown away by listening to Gavin Newsom on Sean Ryan. Completely blown away. And when I say I'm blown away, it's kind of like when you meet somebody and you have this like perspective of them. And I was always told in my job that when you meet somebody, whatever you hear about them, if you could hear that they're a jerk, you could hear this, you could hear that, hear they did that. But when you actually speak to the person or meet the person, you make your own assumption about them. You make your own assessment of them. Not everybody in this world has to agree. Gavin Newsom's not that bad. His politics, whatever. He's playing the long game here. Now, what I mean by the long game here is You guys all know. I don't even have to go any further about the transgender stuff because it was a big issue for me. And look, the way I look at politics is I have gay friends. I was the best man at a gay wedding. These two adopted a beautiful young lady. I was all for 100%. I don't even know why I'm even trying to have to explain myself. That's a human issue that people just be like, yeah, it's okay. But the other stuff is really, really infringing on the lesbian and gay community, the transgender stuff, the pansexual stuff. I don't know if I want to have sex stuff. Yeah, I don't know if I'm approached to your mind, or do I want to be a girl? Do I want to be a boy? I'm 9 and I have tea parties. Do I want to be a girl? This stuff is not, I'm not even gonna say it's not right. I'm gonna say it's something that has to be spoken about, and this has to be approached a different way, because we're approaching it in a way where we have to feel bad for these people. We're approaching it from that we can't even say that we're for laws that are stopping parents from changing 9-year-olds and 7-year-olds genders just because they say they don't feel right. Some scientist they're talking about was a champion a couple of years ago because all these kids that wanted to change their gender, they're so happy now. Talk to them when they're 20. Talk to them when they're 18. Talk to them when they want to have a family. Talk to them about they want to reproduce. Talk to them when they want to, just be normal. Yeah. And I say normal because something's going on inside here if you want to be a girl or a boy, or here. Lesbians, gays, you guys, it's just like me, like you. People are born that way. But the other stuff, you have to start disconnecting yourself from the stuff that's just absolute lunacy. And it's going away, guys. Because I'll tell you right now, the only reason why I brought up Gavin Newsom, and I'm going to talk about him for a couple minutes, is he said some stuff on the Sean Ryan show that completely took me out of left field. Literally. My whole premise of this guy is look at the state of California. It's in a mess. Everything goes there. He's not giving, water to Trump to put out the fires. Everybody's running around chopping their dicks off. It's like, everybody is just, it's just like a free for all out there. Everybody's just giving stuff, like all the celebrities just do whatever they want. And California's this. There's a lot of things going on in California that he's really he thinks his party's crazy. He had said that. Now, just go to my notes here because he said some stuff here that I really want to get to. Okay. Where is it? Where is it? All right. Gavin Newsom. I really was saying that, at the end of the day, I want to compare Gavin Newsom as a politician, as somebody who's on TV all the time, and who's the governor of a state which, it's not even get into it. Like, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. I would love, it's a beautiful state going on out there, but I'm a little confused. A little confused. Very likable guy. A lot of stuff going on in these small cities in California. Let's take LA, for instance. He says that there are some kind of things that are not done by his jurisdiction. By his jurisdiction, he means the state of California. Now, the state of California has certain issues broken down into cities, mayors. He outright said on the Sean Ryan show, he said he's in discussions with local mayors about stuff that sounds absolutely ridiculous on a daily basis. Stuff that goes on with, all right, migrant issue. Okay. You want to think that Gavin Newsom is just completely against like just arresting everybody to get everybody out of my state. But you know what he actually did say? He vetoed a bill by his own party to release 11,000 people that he had arrested that he chose were criminals. His constituency wanted him to sign a bill that would release those 11,000 and have them retried because they felt that they were arrested illegally. And he said, I quote, no fucking way. No goddamn way. You have to respect the man. He stands on morals by saying that he doesn't want ICE coming into his cities and arresting people for no reason. All right, he said it. What's going on there are two different things. But what I do know from that conversation is that there's dialogue going on between the governor of California and his local mayors. Now, his local mayors, I think, are idiots. I think most of them that are getting arrested, you're just dumb. Okay, and you could fight me on that. You could argue me on that, but there's a lot of criminals getting roped up in these investigations. There's some innocent people too. But from what Gavin Newsom said, your constituency wanted a bill that said to release everybody because none of them were criminals. Millions of criminals were let into this country under Biden's watch. Millions of people that were sent here to do bad things to the United States are here right now because of that open border policy. Gavin Newsom claims he was against it. Gavin Newsom claims that he fought for a lot of his border control. Although at the end of the day, he did say everybody deserves a shot or discrimination or so where do you draw the line? Is it discrimination if you arresting these criminals as well and not? What's the discrimination aspect about it? So he seems to kind of be teetering on this migrant issue a little bit, but I got from his conversation that there's a lot of infighting going on right now in the Democratic Party about this issue. He seems to think that, you know what, everybody isn't innocent. So that to me was a kudo for him, a little check mark. Also, he said the downfall of his Democratic Party is backing these ridiculous laws, backing these ridiculous things like transgender reassignment surgery with kids, transgender men playing against women in sports. Literally outright said it's ridiculous. And I agree. He's got a 9-year-old daughter. He says he spent lots and lots and lots of time talking to people who he called people that could carry a conversation, not just people yelling and screaming about how they hate everybody. These are people in everyday life that have children that are playing sports. And the answer from every single parent, it's just not fair. And that's what he says. It's not fair. So for everybody out there that thinks that, oh, it's only a couple here and there, or so it's don't worry about it. 21 states allow gender reassignment surgery for children under the age of 18. And their parents have to sign or they'll be arrested. There's something wrong with that. California is one of them. From what he says, he has to kind of balancing act with certain things. Do I believe a lot of the things that I heard on that show today? Maybe. Do I think that Gavin Newsom is kind of setting himself up for maybe a presidential run? I do think that. I also think he's trying to separate himself from this crazy left agenda that was going on in this country for 4 years. He kept quoting Ronald Reagan a lot too, which is a little weird to me. He said the last great president was Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was a Republican. Seems to me this guy's gearing up for a presidential run. Seems to me like he's trying to hit the right buttons of some of the normal thinking Democrats who have outright left their party, either became independents or Republicans. But there's a middle ground. There's a middle ground here. There's some place in the middle. And am I saying that somebody like Gavin Newsom will be a good pick for president of the United States of America? Absolutely not. Do I say that he seems like a guy that maybe I could come hang out with and sit down at the bar and have a drink with? Yeah, he sounds pretty entertaining. I've said it all the time. Trump's our president. I have somebody in my life, not anymore, but somebody in my life. This person's not in my life anymore for reasons, as I'm going to say. I disagree with a lot of what Gavin Newsom says politically. But hearing him talk, he seems very likable. He seems like he could carry a conversation. And he seems like he's not going to turn around and say, you're an asshole because you don't believe what I'm saying. He sounds like he could carry a conversation. This person that's not in my life anymore has the same type of personality as Donald Trump. Now, I voted for Donald Trump, and I am proud of that. He is cleaning shit up. He's doing it. His constituents are doing it. He's trying to push bills. There are times when I think that maybe he's getting a little crazy. I think we got to pull our military back. All right. I think there's a lot of things, but under no way, shape, or form was I that guy that pulled that lever and said, I'm going to be happy with 100% of the things he's doing. I pulled that lever because he's the right man for the job. That's why I pulled that lever. And I'm not going to pull that lever for Gavin Newsom because I just don't think he's the right man for the job. But I'd rather sit down and have a drink with Gavin Newsom than Donald Trump. Because this person that I'm talking about is not in my life anymore. The person was an asshole. The person was a me person, talked about himself and anything else that you had to say. Either he didn't hear it or his was better. That's a man thing. Somebody from the outside looking in and observing another man and saying, wow, you're a dick. But that doesn't mean you can't be the president of the United States of America. Gavin Newsom, wow, we had a great time talking. Listen, dude, I am not voting for you for president, but I'll talk about anything with you any time of the day. That's how I view life. That's how everybody should view life. That's why when I get mad about stuff about how you hate your brother because he voted for this person, or I can't believe you said that, or you voted for somebody that's trying to kill my kids. Everybody out there should be a goddamn ashamed of themselves for this reason. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care how you feel politically. Politics is personal. You're not changing my mind and I'm not changing yours. But will I sit and talk and hang out with you? Absolutely. So again, anyone out there that crossed a relationship, kicked somebody out of their lives because of somebody who they voted for, the 3 people I don't talk to anymore, I don't even think about you anymore because it's so stupid. And this comes down to the fact that Donald Trump's got a personality that I don't like talking to guys like that because they just, it just is what it is. I'd rather punch him in the face than have a drink with him. Guy like Gavin Newsom's going to listen. Guy like Gavin Newsom's going to disagree with you, but he's going to say, that's fine. That's what I measure a man. Measuring a president is different. Donald Trump's the president of the United States. And everybody out there has to stop and think for a minute. The hate for our president right now is the downfall of our country. It's the downfall of everything that's American. So he's a little crude. So he curses. Gavin Newsom curses every 5 minutes. He said fuck. He said goddamn like 100 times. That's a real talk. That's a real conversation. Murdered Kamala Harris when she was mayor. Murdered her. Disagreed with her on a policy that was allowing people into California. Didn't like it. Completely switched it up. Oh yeah, defund the police. Gavin Newsom doesn't want to defund the police. Kamala Harris did. Other liberal states, cities want to defund the police. Law enforcement in this country is something that should never even be a conversation to be defunded. We should put a lot of our resources towards law enforcement. As a matter of fact, we spend so much time building the biggest military in the world, which is great. We're strong, we're tough. How about we take some of that money and give it to local municipalities? How about we take some of that military money and we give it to local law enforcement? How about we give it to the military? So maybe, let's say, some of these police officers, and let's be honest, a lot of you guys are fat fucks, to go to a gym, just get proper nutrition. Maybe if you don't know how to talk to people correctly, maybe you don't know how to assess the situation correctly, and that's seen, okay, you know what? Go over and take some jujitsu or something. Maybe you need to calm down a little bit. Go learn how to meditate. Defund the police. Is America out of their goddamn minds? These are men and women that put their lives on the line for us every single day. Is there a few bad apples? Absolutely. But I don't know what job you do out there, but I could guarantee you could pick a couple of bad apples out of your crew too. It's life. It happens. There's people that are very charismatic. There's people that can walk into a room and sell ice to Eskimos. Yeah, you got the job. You're a racist. Never so evident in that Floyd thing. Listen, that guy Floyd wasn't a nice guy. But you could also turn it around and say that cop that killed him, he wasn't a nice guy either. So you look at that from an optic of the outside looking in. Defund the police. You defund the police department's going to be overrun with cops like that guy that killed whatever his name was, Floyd. Because they either A, they're just going to be really mad because they're not making any money, or they're just not going to show up. So to defund the police department is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. You have to fund the police department. Something goes wrong, you don't attack it with something else or somebody else that you think that they're more qualified. Nobody is more qualified to talk to an absolutely insane person wielding a machete on 137th Street and Lenox Avenue than a New York City police officer. You're not going to say time out, let's call in the therapist. Nobody is more prepared than the New York City Police Department to do that. That's what you have to look into. Training. That takes money. Not defunding, funding. Gavin Newsom didn't want to do that. Kamala Harris did. Gavin Newsom was mayor. As soon as he left being mayor, became the governor, mayor came, switched up everything, and it became what it was and what it is today. I am not under any circumstances saying that Gavin Newsom is the right choice. The point I'm making about him is he seems to be a guy that's willing to listen. He seems to be like a guy who might be lying. I don't know. Knows how to talk to people. And I'm in no circumstance saying I'm going to vote for him for president because that's not happening either. I'm just looking at this from perspective of how I view people in society. And that guy's willing to talk. That guy's willing to listen. That guy's willing to take a joke too. It's unbelievable that somebody like this gets to make decisions for a bunch of pussies because he said the way he talks, the way he curses, the way he goddamns everything. He's a dad. But is he the president of the United States? I don't think so. But personality wise, I learned a hell of a lot about that guy today just by listening to Sean Ryan. And it's just something that, you can't just hate on people for the way they feel politically. You have to give people a shot to tell you how they feel and why they feel that way. They could sound completely batshit crazy to you, but that's America. You can't yell at somebody because they feel a certain way. Everything's opinion, ladies and gentlemen. Get it through your heads. Nobody has the answer. Nobody has the answer to where we're going to get money for this. No one has the answer of how we're going to stop a war with Russia and Ukraine, or how we're going to stop a war with Israel and Palestine. Israel's over there fighting a war with terrorists. Is there innocent people over there? Yes, I understand that. But they're fighting a war with terrorists. How do you fight a war against people who don't even care about themselves? So for us to pull out of something like that and to pull back, I don't even know what you would call that. Somebody called me an isolationist the other day. I don't know. Do I want our country to thrive? Absolutely. Do I care what's going on in other countries? A little bit, but as much as I care about what's going on here. I actually had somebody yell at me the other day because I wanted to pull everything back and fuck everything overseas. You can't do that. Why not? It worked a long time ago. It'll take a long time to get back on track. And I also said a word the other day. I said a word nationalism the other day. Let's look up the old school definition of nationalism. I mentioned the word nationalism to the same person. He called me a racist. I said, I'm a nationalist. If I'm a nationalist, I don't know what your definition is, but my definition of nationalism does not include anything that's racist. My definition of nationalism, maybe I'll throw it out and give it a different definition. Love for our country and love for the people that are here no matter what. Stick up for the people that are here no matter what. And if it means people that are here illegally, or if it means people have to go for us to be safe. I also said it's geography, guys, too. We happen to live in the part of the world where, I don't know, pretty civilized here for the most part. And the places that aren't civilized anymore, we're too goddamn worried about shit going on in other countries to worry about cities in the United States of America that are basically third world countries. All that money that's going to Palestine, all that money that's going to Egypt, Lebanon, Libya, you could name any third world country in this world, we're giving them funding. That funding can go to people here. Now, there's people that take advantage of every situation. I do get it. That'll just be more money for people to be taken advantage of. But I think more money will lead to more bigger microscope of people who actually need help and deserve help. Who's going to make those decisions? Then it becomes a political argument. Republicans want this, Democrats want this. But if we don't give a shit about what's going on in other countries, and I know that sounds bad, but it's a situation right now where I don't care what's going on in Germany right now. I don't care what's going on in Japan right now. I don't care what's going on in France. I certainly don't give a shit what's going on in Ukraine right now. I care about the people dying. That sucks. It's terrible. I feel terrible for these innocent children in Palestine that are getting blown up. Well, let's be honest, their own people are blowing them up. Our military. Let's go home. Let's give these guys a break. And if you guys don't want a break, we can find something for you to do here. A wall around the country? That's hogwash. How about instead of those billions of dollars building a wall, how about you fund the military with jobs to protect? And maybe that's corruptible too. But again, it'll also bring stuff back here. We're not worrying about money overseas, protecting interests. We're worried about here. I actually heard some guy a couple months ago when we talked about tariffs. I don't want to get into tariffs right now because I'm not, I'm not a genius when it comes to all that stuff. I just kind of know a little bit about it. But company in Minnesota said that they have to stop production in their plant because they can no longer get these little plastic pieces that come from 40 miles away over the border in Canada because the tariffs are too high. They now either have to go get it here where it's double the price. I don't even know how to answer that question. And somebody with a business brain is going to say, "Oh, you sound dumb right now. It's money. You save money." Yeah, but if everything was made here like it used to be, and we circulated our own money here like it used to be, when I say used to be, I know it was a long, long time ago, but it's really not that long ago. Because not that long ago was 200 years ago. Not that long ago. We were getting by on our own. More people came, more people had families, more people had kids. Everybody talks about this migrant situation as people coming here. This country was built on immigration. Yes, it was. This country was built on immigration. People that came here and assimilated with our values and made their own, made America what it is today. The migrant situation is people coming to this country and disregarding everything that's American and making it theirs. You want to do that? Stay where you came from. I'm all for people coming to this country. As a matter of fact, I know somebody that came to this country and did it correctly. The big constituency of people that should be really pissed off. About 30 to 40, maybe 50 million people that just ran over the border over the last couple of years, hiding in some shack right now, or beating up police officers. Everybody's so shocked about watching New York City police officers get jumped by 12-year-old kids. I gotta be honest with you. They're doing that over where they're from, too. They're not scared of cops. They're not scared of the military. These people are coming from a country where it's so poverty stricken that punching a police officer is not out of pocket. They don't care. That's what's coming here. The Roosevelt Hotel. Look what happened to that place. The place will never be the same again. You'll never get that smell out of those places. The smell of just people sitting there, waiting in filth. People coming to this country, forming their gangs, bringing their gangs here. You think we got a gang problem now? All these people that are going to jail? It's getting worse. America. I know people when I say this, I say I'm talking directly. Yeah, I'm talking to America. My little spot here in New York. I don't have all the answers. Neither do you. But let's ask somebody and say, do you got a different way for doing something? I'm all ears. And the first answer shouldn't be, oh, you're a Trump guy, or oh, you're a Democrat. Democrats are getting smaller and smaller now. Elon Musk says maybe, hey, let's have a third party. I'm all for a third party. Conservatives are running the Republican Party. Liberals are running the Democratic Party. America, there's a lot of people in the middle. There's a lot of people that feel the same way I do. There's a lot of people that are up in the air when they say something, they're automatically locked into a category of you're this or you're that. No, we're human beings. We're human beings that have opinions. We're human beings that want to be here to protect our families. If you don't have a family, you want to protect yourself because it's coming. And if you think that what's going on in other countries is bad right now because there's violence, we only see violence in poor cities. We only see violence in, but wait till everybody just starts getting really angry at each other. Poverty won't matter anymore. Being rich won't matter anymore. Because once everybody's really, really mad, torches are going to start coming to the door. And nobody is going to be out of the way of an angry American that can't afford to feed his family anymore. Nobody's going to get in the way of a father that can't afford to feed his kids, that can't afford to support his family. It's getting better. And you people out there that don't see it because the message is being portrayed by somebody who's a bully, as you say, how about you listen? How about you say, wow, he's got some pretty good ideas. And when you say, oh, Trump might say something, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of people giving this guy information. Think about this for a second. Where do you guys get your news from? Podcasts, news, cable news, streaming news, YouTube. No one makes their own opinion. So nobody's right. What I'm trying to say is you can say, I don't watch Fox, that's all this. I don't watch CNN, they're this. Or I don't watch this because they're that. But you watch something. You listen to something. You contain something. You read something. You don't wake up in the morning and say, I feel this way. There's outside influences that make you feel the way you do. So the fact that you feel this way is really kind of, who's that? But somebody was trying to sneak in. I'm going to get off this in a couple of minutes anyway, because I think I kind of said my piece about what I feel was going on in this country. But what I really was trying to get at is like, listen, I'm not voting for Gavin Newsom for president, but no, listen to the guy talk. You might get a chuckle out of his interview. You know, Sean Ryan's a pretty good guy to do these interviews, you know, and even he was like, wow, he got some pretty good points, but no president for Gavin Newsom. But I can say that he does seem like he's a pretty decent guy. New York City, look out. If you live past the border of Yonkers, New York, this is a red alert. A red alert. November. If the Zohan becomes the mayor of New York City, you could add $250,000 to your home right now. That's right. This is not an advertisement. This is the truth. You own a home past the Yonkers border, and Mandani becomes president because these people down in New York City let him do that. I'm going to add about $250,000 to my home. People are going to make money, and people in Florida, Tennessee, South Carolina, and yes, I say South Carolina for a reason, North Carolina, we're all coming. We're all coming. The Socialist Communist Party is coming to take over New York City, and we're going to allow it. People of New York City, I said something a couple months ago in one of my TikTok videos. You guys aren't tough anymore. You know where the tough New Yorkers are? They don't live in New York City anymore. The tough New Yorkers moved out of New York City because they were tired of the bullshit. De Blasio was your mayor a couple of years ago. Now, de Blasio was a dummy, like a complete dumbass. This Zohan guy is worse than de Blasio because I think he's a little more educated about stuff that I don't agree with at all. But I think that he's more of a manipulator. He's really going to try and take this city and just give everybody everything. Do you know that guy comes from a millionaire family? What are you guys in New York City gonna do when you got to answer to the Zohan and AOC? Look, guys out there, I know AOC. She's a pretty girl. She's pretty good looking, but she's an idiot too. Their heads are full of air. You got Bernie Sanders yelling a couple of weeks ago about there's too many millionaires and too many billionaires in this country. I don't know if I agree or not. I mean, just people making money. But how about you look yourself in the mirror, Bernie, and see what's in your bank account? Because you took a lot of money from these people as well. So shut the hell up and stop talking about too many millionaires and billionaires. You're just trying to jump on that Zohan train. Zohan saying the other day shouldn't be billionaires. Why? Why? That just means people are working hard. One more thing, New York City. You guys want everybody to be taken care of? You want to give everybody everything? How you like $50 million being put aside for migrants who get arrested who can't afford lawyers? I work in a neighborhood right now where it's unfortunate. It's a bad neighborhood, and it just seems like just there's no people have no shot there. $50 million would help out that neighborhood a lot. So $50 million for lawyers. And if you guys were so high and mighty, if you guys were so this is my cause. How about some pro bono work? If you care so much, don't get paid. Because if I was paying New York City taxes, I'd be pissed if a cent of my taxes was going to that bullshit. She's going to be gone soon anyway, but I don't know who's going to take over. All those people that latch themselves onto that agenda, they're going to be gone soon. But Democratic Party, you got to find something if you want to have a leg to stand on. You got to find a different narrative. You got to find a different person. Because if you allow what's going on with AOC, the Zohan, even the mayors out in LA, and even Gavin Newsom. I know I just spoke so eloquently about Gavin Newsom, but I don't know if he wasn't lying or telling the truth. He just sounded like a very guy I'd like to talk to. Got to stop. So I'm going to end on that note. I got a lot off my chest. New York City, you're in trouble. Like I said, anybody's going to be looking for a house or wants to move out of New York City after November, come January 27, your home is going to be worth a lot of money. I would wait. Your $500,000 home is going to be about $750. You know why? Because the smart people of New York City are going to leave in droves. And with Kathy Hochul in office, the people of New York State are going to leave in droves. What, you want to stay in a state where they tax you on everything? Look, it's the United States of America. We pay taxes. We tax you on everything? Why? Where do your taxes go in New York City, New York State? Where do they go? They're going to lawyer fees for migrants. They're going for a whole bunch of other stuff that we'd rather not talk about right now. It's not where I want my money going. New York State, it's not where I want my money going. I'm out of this state as quick as I can go. The minute I retire, I will leave New York State in my rearview mirror. And Maine, that's another state. You got a big problem. Your problem right there goes well beyond the whole transgender athlete things. Janet Mills, the governor of Maine, you're giving your whole state up to the Chinese mafia. Your brother signing all those mortgages. Come on. How dare you? How dare you? I hope people have a problem with this in Maine because the good people of Maine, and you are out there, I've got a total of about 400,000 views on 2 videos from Maine. A lot of smart people, a lot of dumb people. But I'll tell you right now, the Chinese mafia is taking over the state of Maine, a once beautiful state. So if you live in Maine and you want your state to be overrun by transgender athletes and Chinese mafia, you could stay there or you could do something about it. We got to change America. And on that note, have a great Sunday, and I'll see you this week.